Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and it's time to return to Myth 2, Soulblighter. So, in this previous mission, we got our hands on the Heron Guard and got to see what they're capable of. Now let's start the next mission and find out what the Deceiver has been doing during all of this.
Sunday, April 19th, Forest Heart. The old journal records that during the Great War, Soulblighter trapped the Legion inside an artifact called the Tain. After 2 days of searching, the Avatar Mergen discovered a secret exit. At the cost of his own life, he was able to free the Legion by shattering the Tain from within. When Soulblighter fled after the Tain was destroyed, he must have taken some part of it with him, knowing that even a tiny fraction of the artifact would be useful in the future. Fate alone kept him from getting a 60-year head start on us. Had the Summoner been born during that earlier age, final victory would have belonged to the fallen lords. King Ulrich has sent us with the Deceiver to find a piece of the shattered Tain. Once found, the Deceiver will lead us through its broken passages to find the Summoner and cut off Soulblighter's access to the Myrkridia. We have been looking for almost a week now, without luck. There are those among us who feel that we are wasting precious time and manpower, that it will never be found. The Deceiver has no such doubts. He says he can feel it calling to him.
And if there's anybody that you can trust, it's a guy literally named the Deceiver. I know I feel comfortable trusting that guy. Mission objectives. Retrieve the Tain Shard. Hints. Fire is an effective weapon against the Soulless, as long as they're over land. And being in a forest, fire is rather effective here. Use the Deceiver's secondary spell, Binding Dream, to convert an enemy to your side. To use it, hit the special action key and target an enemy unit. The undead cannot be converted by the Deceiver. Never miss a chance to convert the enemy. If you convert an opponent at the front of an opposing force, it will turn and slow the force's advance. On the other hand, if you convert one at the rear, it is more likely to survive the battle. And we get to see that demonstrated to us. We get attacked by a group of 2 mauls.
New units received.
And so the Deceiver mind controls one of them, and then starts attacking the other. And this is the Deceiver's normal attack. The Deceiver's normal attack is very interesting. So it doesn't do very much damage, and it can only hit one enemy at a time, but it freezes the enemy in place while he is attacking them. So he can just lock down an enemy and gradually drain their hit points. Which means also, no enemy is immune to this paralysis effect. Which means that the Deceiver can beat literally any enemy one-on-one. And that's in addition to his special ability, which allows him to mind control enemies permanently. This maul is just on our side now for the rest of the mission. Anyway, before we go much farther and really get to experience what our new hero unit is capable of, I'm going to get us a fresh recording file. I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back. I have a lovely fresh recording file. Let's go find the Tain. And we finally get to use the Deceiver after 2 levels dedicated just to reviving him, and then having to wait a couple more levels before he's finally controllable. We're finally here. And the Deceiver might actually be my favorite unit in this game, just based on the 2 abilities I showed you. Partially because, and the reason for this is because, while his abilities aren't obviously powerful, they have some of the most potential of any of the abilities you'll have access to. So, like, comparing him to Ulrich, Ulrich is a very strong melee unit, and he has Contagious Exploding to deal with large groups. But...
New units received.
Okay. We get the Deceiver out of there. Let's send them all in to distract the enemy. There we go. Okay, that went relatively well. But comparing the Deceiver, say, to Ulrich, Ulrich has has this contagious exploding, which can dramatically erase large groups of enemies. And he also is just generally a very powerful melee unit and can actually take on groups of enemies in melee and do well. By comparison, the Deceiver is a bit more fragile than Ulrich. His melee attack does significantly less damage, and his special ability can't really be used to deal with groups at all. All he can do is mind control people. But there's a huge number of things you can do with the limited palette of things that the Deceiver is actually really good at. And so he has a seemingly kind of weak power set, but with massive potential.
New units received.
Okay, Bowman, focus on that one. So, for instance, his melee attack can't be used to deal with groups of enemies, and he doesn't even contribute very much to team fights, but he's guaranteed to win in any one-on-one fight, which means it rewards you for engineering situations where he's fighting a powerful enemy one-on-one. I, for instance, managed to get rid of a Myrkridian giant with minimal difficulty by getting it to fight the Deceiver one-on-one, so he could just pin it down and melt it into nothing. Similarly, Binding Dream is a lot less flashy than Ulrich's Dispersal Dream, but if there's a huge number of possible applications, ranging from just using it to gradually, the obvious use, using it to expand your forces, to a lot of more subtle applications of it. For instance, and I'll probably end up demonstrating this at some point in this level, if you mind control an enemy melee unit that's in the midst of a group of enemy melee units, the other enemy units will immediately attack the person you just mind controlled. If they're attacking the person that you just mind controlled, then they'll stop rushing towards you, which means you can actually get them to clump up really easily so you can hit them with dwarves. Things like that. There are a lot of skewed applications of Binding Dream if you're willing to be creative with it. Let me see if I can lure this group out, because if they're patrolling this path, we're going to have to fight them at some point. We have a good position to fight them now. So I'm going to send the Deceiver up to get their attention. Come on, guys. And the other thing is, basically, the Deceiver really rewards lateral thinking in terms of how to apply his abilities. And the other thing that's cool about the Deceiver's ability set is that it's actually really a reflection of his character. I mean, it seems kind of obvious from the Deceiver. You'd expect that someone named the Deceiver would be all about being sly and being clever. But that actually really follows through in terms of the way that he acts throughout the story. The Deceiver does nothing in a straightforward manner.
New units received.
The Deceiver does nothing simple. He does nothing the direct way. He'll do things that seem to be completely insane or ridiculous that actually make perfect sense when you finally understand what his plan was. And so it's just a really interesting combination of having an ability set that's just inherently really cool and an ability set that just reflects the character really well. And I'm going to need to heal the Deceiver, because he took a bit of damage. Fortunately, unlike the Trow, the Deceiver is a very durable unit that can be healed. Though not up to full health.
Yes.
Yeah, that one didn't completely go according to plan. Generally speaking, I'm going to try not to allow my moles to die once I mind control them. Alright, get the dwarves out of here. They're not going to be of any use. Get the Deceiver kind of behind cover. And there we go. Should be able to flatten that one in one volley. Almost. Now we get started on the second one. And let's give the third one a bad day. The other advantage of the Deceiver is, just like Ulrich, he's extremely durable. Of course, that's helpful, considering the fact that we have to keep him alive. Alright. And across the river, crossing our fingers that there aren't any wights hiding under it. I don't think there are. This level doesn't contain a lot of undead. They've given us the ability to control the Deceiver and given us access to his mind control powers, and they're going to encourage us to use them. Oh, we shouldn't leave the dwarves behind. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you can cross the river now. Also, these things that look like rocks, these are apparently actually supposed to be plants, and they produce the roots that Heron Guards can use to heal people. So I can actually just have a Heron Guard come over here and harvest these to get more heals. Like so. Also, while each Heron Guard starts a mission with only 1 heal, they can carry more than that. They can actually carry a maximum of 9. Just like the Journeyman could. Okay. I don't remember if there's an ambush coming up, so I'm just going to play the odds and assume that there is one. Deceiver into position. Get the melee units into position-ish. And I appear to have guessed correctly. There is a group of enemies, but they're not on the bridge, they're across the bridge from us. I have a plan. Okay. I want to control both dwarves. Keep the bowman all the way back here. And instead get the dwarves on here, but I want to hit them with explosives while they're on the bridge.
Yes, sir.
I also need to make up my mind about where exactly I want to position the dwarves. Alright, let's put them here. Move the Heron Guard forward. Keep the bowmen where they are. The melee units are nicely positioned. And now let's just go pick a fight. And also over here we have Giant Face with burning eyes. This is not actually relevant to anything, it's just kind of there. Okay, I believe we have their attention. Use the Heron Guard to lure the Mauls across the bridge. And they'll be forced to clump up when they're on the bridge, where they will take immense damage from explosives. Of course, Mauls are still very durable. Oh, that isn't good. That isn't good. Yeah, dwarves will do that occasionally, where they just allow themselves to be killed. Just, if an enemy is too close to a dwarf, the dwarf will occasionally just decide that he's tired of living and just sacrifice himself. Whoa, archers, bowmen, what are you doing? You're not helping when you just fire directly into our own guys. And unfortunately, we lost a Heron Guard. Well, let's grab his root for later. Yeah, that did not quite go according to plan. Or, alternatively, the plan has succeeded beyond what you can possibly imagine. If you're willing to believe that. Okay. And we circle around. I'm more concerned about the loss of the dwarf. That's going to cause significant problems. And yeah, the guy in charge of this mission is someone named Source of the 500 Poisons. He sounds like a nice fella. I'm actually going to heal my seriously injured Maul. Alright. Could probably cut through there, but I don't think I'm going to. Let's go this way. And as you may be suspecting, it's been a while since I did this. I don't remember exactly where the Tane is, but it's usually not hard to tell where the objective is based on the layout of the map. However, at another bridge, there's likely to be another ambush. Of course, being down to only one dwarf, that's going to make things a bit harder. Though our gradually expanding army of appropriated Mauls is helping. Okay. You ever get the feeling like you've been somewhere before? Because, yeah, we've kind of made a big circle. Wait, which means I don't need to worry about an ambush because I've already killed all the enemies over here. We just need to go over this way. Alright, so everybody cross the river. Actually going to fast forward a little bit to speed up the river crossing process because nothing exciting is likely to happen then. Of course, now that I've said that, we're going to get ambushed while I am fast forwarding and everyone will die. Search your feelings. You know this to be... Whoa! Okay, and this is one where really the bowmen are the only ones who have the ability to do anything. Uh-oh. And we got mauls coming at us too. I have a plan for dealing with the mauls. I'm just going to have to trust the bowmen to handle the Soulless, though. We outnumber them by a lot, so... Alright. And...
New units received.
Mind control one of the mauls, and then send my pet maul after the Soulless.
Yes.
Yeah, because of this level's because of the maul density in this level, the dwarves aren't really that helpful. They're somewhat helpful, but they're not as dominant as they are in the levels where you're mostly fighting thrall. You more have to use the dwarves to soften the enemy up and then finish them off with other tactics. Though, despite the casualties, we actually have more guys than we had at the beginning of this mission. Gosh. Is there anything over here? There's nothing over here. That's weird. Oh, my bad. Sorry guys, I was reading the map upside down. We went the wrong way. Or we've decided to eliminate all of the enemies because that will make the searching process easier. Whichever option makes me look better, that's what the truth is. Okay. And across here. That would imply that there's a river crossing up here somewhere, and there it is. I finally found you. And I'm just going to exploit the fast forward key a little bit to get up to the river crossing a little faster. Slow us back down to normal speed while we still have time to... react. Ooh, Myrkridia. Well, the Myrkridia are being pulled out of the Tane. That might imply that the Tane shard is nearby. Also, we have a single lone living enemy all away from his companions. I'm sure you all know what that means. Assuming I can get into range. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, there's also Soulless, and we don't really have good positioning for that. Okay. And there's the Myrkridia just randomly patrolling the riverside, or the island. Okay. Let's quick heal the injured bowman. And let's get the Deceiver up here to do his work. And while we're at it, let's heal this Heron Guard. Don't want their health getting too low. Okay, where's the next crossing? Somewhere. And fresh crids, fresh for the taking.
New units
so.
received.
And since now there's only one, the Deceiver can just kill it. And at this point, you're probably seeing just how powerful it's possible for the Deceiver to be. There's actually a fan-made level where this takes place during the Great War, so when the Deceiver is evil, where you control only the Deceiver.
We are very near, I think.
Where you control only the Deceiver, and I think
5 days.
you control the Deceiver and one other unit, but you're fighting against the forces of light, so you're fighting against people who can be mind controlled. And so the whole strategy for the level is that you gradually build up an army of mind-controlled units. So you start off with just 2 guys, and then by the end, you have this huge fighting force just by collecting them with the Binding Dream. It's actually a really fun level. I may end up showing that off. Speaking of which, if anybody would like to see me do some of the fan-made channels, go ahead and leave a comment. If I get some comments asking me to do those levels, I'll do them. Also, I'll be able to control this fetch in a second. Or make up for the dwarf I accidentally blew up. Alright. And, almost, just a little more mana. And, actually, I could control the fetch, but the Myrkridia is more useful. Except I can't get within range to get the Myrkridia, so I'm just going to kill the fetch. The thing about fetch is, well, they're pretty good. Fetch actually deal lightning damage, which is a different type of damage from the damage other units deal. This is significant because Myrkridia actually are very resistant to lightning, so Myrkridia takes severely reduced damage from fetch.
New units
Okay,
received.
grab us a Myrkridia and then just go melt the other one. It would be very challenging, but it's probably possible to do this level using only the Deceiver and not actually using any of your other units. Also, the Deceiver could probably use a little bit of healing, since we do actually need him to stay alive. Also, so how many mind slaves do we have right now? Well, oh, we left some guys. Heron Guard, a dwarf, and a whole bunch of mauls. Are you stuck? What are you guys running into an invisible wall? What's going on, guys? Here, let me show you how to get through here. Apparently some guys just got stuck. Woo, whoa. And we're all out of formation. Okay, the Deceiver's mana is not going to regenerate quickly enough. We're just going to have to fight these guys. Which means the Deceiver is going to have to take some damage again. Lovely. Yeah, this is what happens when I let myself get out of formation. What happens when I let myself get distracted by my guys who are apparently stuck on the level geometry. Yeah. Pathing is one of the areas where this game kind of shows its age a little bit. As we can see with the Heron Guard desperately trying to find the Boban I told him to heal. What was that about the pathing not really being this game's strong suit? And we are in fact very near. On the other side of this riverbank is the area where the Tain is. Assuming we can manage the fight to control it. Okay. It is kind of interesting because this is taking place in Forest Heart, which means Forest Heart is where Soulblighter stashed the Tain. That's kind of interesting because it was in Forest Heart in the original game that the Legion was actually trapped in the Tain by Soulblighter. There's kind of an interesting bit of poetic symmetry there. That we're back to the same forest where in the previous game we were imprisoned within the Tain. Okay, and more crids. Yeah, we've moved away from mauls and on to fighting against crids. Several crids. Actually, it's relatively few Myrkridia. The main problem is the fetch. Well, I have a solution to that problem.
New units received.
That's one of the more creative applications of...
Casualty.
It didn't work. In theory, one of the more creative applications that you can have for Binding Dream is to mind control an enemy towards the back of the enemy's formation to cause them to all get knocked out of formation. Okay, that was close. Yeah, another quirk of the fetch lightning bolt. If you kill the fetch between when it fires and when the lightning bolt arrives at the target, the lightning bolt will actually vanish in midair. So we were literally seconds away from losing a whole bunch of guys. And the Deceiver needs some healing again. Yeah, I'm not used to how fragile he is. He's more durable than a normal unit, but I'm used to dealing with Ulrich, who's a lot more durable than the Deceiver is. And this is the Tane. Well, the fragment of it, anyway. It may not surprise you to learn, is rather heavily guarded. This will actually require some strategy. And the hardest part is that one of the things guarding the Tane is a Myrkridian giant. Though there's a thing about dealing with Myrkridian giants if you know what you're doing. The question is, can our melee force handle the rest of them? And the answer is probably not while the fetch are alive. So we need to do something about the fetch. Well...
Okay. Ready.
I have a plan.
Moving.
And they'll keep rotating so that they're always facing... pull back? Okay. Bowman, you've done your job. Pull back. Except not. Okay. I have an idea. Here's another exploitation of Dispersal Dream that's possible. Or of Binding Dream that's possible. If we can get into position.
New units received.
Mind control the fetch, and they'll kill the fetch. Mind control the enemy that you're just not equipped to deal with, and the enemy will murder it for you. Unfortunately, the Deceiver has a Myrkridian giant bearing down on him. Fortunately, the Deceiver can reliably win any one-on-one fight. Now I just need the bowman to take care of the other fetch real quick. And the fetch, changing its mind and deciding to walk back to camp while repeatedly being shot, is making that job considerably easy for me. I guess the fetch decided he was tired of living. Okay. And that's it. The Deceiver's health is a little low. We're not really supposed to let his health get that low, but we're done. Also, I believe by sheer numbers, we actually have more guys than we had when we started. We have gained 7 units since the beginning of the mission. But now we just need the Deceiver to go pick up the Tane. And mission accomplished. And here's a group of Fetch, Myrkridia, and Soulless that would like to stop us from doing that. Fortunately, they can't. Unfortunately, we do not get to keep our mind slaves for the next mission. Yep, we found the Tane. And let's see how so Lottie is a hero, but he's a hero basically just due to inertia. He didn't do very much in this mission, but he survived. Why are both of the dwarves listed as heroes? They didn't both survive. And amusingly, the bowman actually got the most kills. Mostly because they had kept having the bowman take care of the Soulless. But between the Heron Guards and the Deceiver, this was actually a pretty melee-oriented fight. Also, yeah, for perspective, the Deceiver got more kills than the dwarves did. But, yep, that's our first taste of getting to use the Deceiver. And now that we've found the Tane, let's go on to the next level and find out what we're going to do with it.
Monday, April 20th, inside the Tane. Once we were inside the Tane, the Deceiver explained its importance and what we must do here. I must admit I was somewhat distracted, however. This place is wholly outside of my experience. The air is cool and very dry and has a metallic taste. There are sections of cave wall that merge seamlessly with emptiness. Looking into these voids brings on feelings of nausea, and I cannot shake the feeling that we are being watched. The Tane was supposed to be the final resting place of the Myrkridia, but the summoner has been inside the shattered artifact for 5 months now, slowly resurrecting their entire race. To think of it makes me shudder. And even now the Myrkridia spread across the province like fire across a dry field, leaving death and blackened ruins in their wake. We must stop him now. By all accounts, Soulblighter butchered the entire population of Strand looking for the summoner. How he knew where to look for him, or even how, is unclear. It is obvious that Soulblighter did not have access to the Total Codex. If he did, it would have led him right to the man. Instead, he tortured and killed nearly every living soul within 3 weeks' travel of that ill-fated city before finding him. The Deceiver has brought us here to kill the summoner. The ruin he will bring about if allowed to remain alive is unconscionable. This alone dictates that he must die.
Okay, so we found the Tane, we got inside the Tane, now we need to find the summoner who is in the Tane resurrecting the Myrkridia, and kill him to stop him from resurrecting the Myrkridia. Mission objectives. The Tane is filled with obstacles and traps. You'll need dwarves and the Deceiver to get through. Keep them alive. Find and kill the summoner. Hints. Dwarves can pick up crystals. When a dwarf is near where a crystal belongs, he'll throw it. Use dwarves to soften up Myrkridia, then rush in Heron guards to finish them. If the fetch are giving you trouble, try converting a Myrkridia standing near them. There's a magic item the Deceiver can pick up and use. The summoner can teleport your units to different areas of the Tane. Yep, we're inside the Tane. And anyone who's played the first game, or watched my Let's Play of it, knows being inside the Tane means there will be puzzles. Also, if you look over here, you see everything's all trippy and distorted. Well, and if you remember from the first game, the Tane didn't look like this before. This is because the Tane has been damaged. When we escaped the first time, we actually shattered it, as you remember, and so we're just inside a small fragment of it, and so it's actually broken, and that's why it's creating these weird distorted effects. Anyway, we've found our first crystal, and I have a pretty good idea of where that crystal goes. This really seems like a hint that the crystal goes in this dish. And over here, we have our first taste of our primary enemies for this level, Myrkridia. Yeah, no surprise, this is where the Myrkridia are coming from. There are a lot of them in here. Of course, this is actually kind of a good thing, considering the fact that we have access to the Deceiver, because he can brainwash them. In fact, if I remember correctly, with the exception of the summoner himself, because he's like a special character, almost every unit in this mission is susceptible to mind control. There's only one, other than the summoner himself, there's only one unit type in the entire level that is immune to mind control. So this level really gives the Deceiver a chance to run wild. And also, we're going to need it, because this level is going to be kind of difficult. Just advance slowly, the Myrkridia retreat back into formation. And this needs to be done carefully. Brainwash this Myrkridia. Blow up these Myrkridia. Use that Myrkridia to kill the fetch. Send the Heron guards in. Alright. Okay, the Heron guards made it to the... Okay. I was nervous for a second. Because the Myrkridia almost caught up with our bowman. In fact, he actually managed to hit Eustace once. And we have a grand shiny new Myrkridia, all our own, and he's even at full health. Of course, when they're under our control, they're still subject to the whole thing where if their health gets critically low, they go berserk and start attacking everybody. But yeah, that's the main way you have to take out the fetch, is you mind control a Myrkridia that's standing close to one of the fetch, and you can get the fetch taken care of fairly quickly.
Make up your mind.
The other advantage is Myrkridia actually resist lightning a lot. They take a lot less damage from fetch than my units would.
Yes.
And so you can, generally speaking, the Myrkridia in this level are actually your solution for dealing with the fetch, because they take such reduced lightning damage. Anyway, I'm just going to set up in front of here because I have a suspicion that there's going to be some guys coming out of here as soon as we open the door. So you see, the way this works is we can't walk past this barrier. But if we gather the 3 crystals and put them in the 3 dishes, the barrier will disappear and it will be possible to cross. And if you're familiar with these kinds of puzzles in games in general, it shouldn't surprise you to learn that a group of enemies will come at you from the other side of the barrier as soon as the barrier is down. Or, well, a short time after the barrier is down.
Make up your mind.
Real quick, send in my Myrkridia as a scout, just to confirm that. And here they come. And once again, there will be fetch. Okay, this is a good candidate for mind control.
New units received.
Alright, send my pet Myrkridia after the fetch. Okay, and the Deceiver can take out the last Myrkridia all by himself. However, yeah, that Myrkridia didn't do such a good job and wound up... He took enough damage to go berserk and then died. He did take out... However, even though we lost him, he accomplished 2 very useful things. He took out one of the fetch, but more importantly, he kept the fetch distracted long enough for us to take out the Myrkridia. Dealing with Myrkridia and then fetch is a lot easier than dealing with Myrkridia and fetch at the same time. And if we scout ahead a little bit with the camera, we see there's a crystal over here. In all probability, it's going to be guarded by something. And we all know what that means. More reinforcements. I mean, the Myrkridia over there don't know that there are reinforcements yet, but they'll learn. Let's see how the Deceiver's mana is looking. Yep, he's fully charged. Ready to mind control on my command.
Ready.
Alright. Now we just need to get back into formation-ish. It's very important to keep the Deceiver towards the front, even though he's a melee unit, so that he can get into range for his Binding Dream. The other advantage of that is that he can guard the ranged units fairly easily, and since there's just one of him, he doesn't have to worry as much about getting in their way.
Yes.
Okay. And can't let the melee units fall too far behind. Aside from losing one of our brainwashing victims, though, this mission has actually gone very well so far. Usually you take more damage than this. By this point, I mean. Okay. There's the brainwashing target.
New units
Go
received.
after the fetch. Okay.
Look out. Yeah.
And the Deceiver can handle the rest. Whoa! Did you not hear me, Durin, when I told you the Deceiver can handle the rest? Just as a punishment for that, you're going and picking up the crystal.
Yes, sir.
While you're walking over there, I want you to think about what you did. Yeah, that's the other thing. The Deceiver can... Often there are few enough Myrkridia that the Deceiver can take them out basically by himself. And our second reinforcement, though this one managed to take some damage. They have such diversity of names, being named Myrkridia and Myrkridia. It is kind of interesting that the Mauls have individual names, but the Myrkridia don't. Like, I can understand the undead, like the Thrall and Soulless not having individual names because they're just undead. They kind of don't have identities, they're just puppets controlled by dark magic. But it seems a little weird for living enemies not to have names. I suppose the implication is that the Mauls actually have a society and have a civilization, and if you read their flavor text, you can learn a little bit about why they're fighting for the dark.
Ready.
But the Myrkridia don't. They're just kind of beasts. Alright, while we wait for the other guy to catch up, we can just start getting into formation, into position. And another fresh batch of hell. Okay. Let's see if they come towards us. They do. Okay, that's a good target for brainwashing.
New units received.
Go after the fetch. Deceiver, pull back. Okay, the dwarves decided to run away instead of firing. So... okay. That went weirdly wrong. The dwarves just kind of did... I guess because I didn't order them to attack and I had ordered them to stand still, the dwarves just decided not to attack. So they just stood still until the Myrkridia were too close to attack and then ran away. Anyway, the Deceiver took a bit of damage, so I'm just going to have to heal him a moment. He's really doing a lot of the work this mission. This is another mission that is, at least on a lower difficulty level, theoretically possible to do using only the Deceiver, aside from the fact... oh, there's more Myrkridia. The other thing there is over here, as you may have noticed, is spiders. They were in the Tane last time, and they're in the Tane this time.
Yes, sir.
And we can't mind control them. They're the other unit that you can't mind control. Those spiders are so weak that there's really no reason to want to mind control them. They're not dangerous except for the fact that, one, they can rush up to your ranged units when they're not paying attention, and two, they can cause your dwarves to attack them, which will end up just causing your dwarves to cause friendly fire. Alright. And the Myrkridia should come over here to help the Deceiver.
Make way for the dwarf.
No, that's a bad sound. Make way for the dwarf is the last thing you want to hear when the melee units just charged in. However, that has bought us enough time for the Deceiver to be fully charged, which means we can go perform another involuntary recruitment. Alright. Get everybody into that classic formation again. And clearly some violence happened over here. That's the thing, when you trigger the spiders start attacking everyone. They don't just attack you. And so when we triggered the spiders to get violent, they attacked the enemy as well as attacking my units. Leaving us with... so the fetch is the only one that died from that group. So the fetch is just gone, just leaving 4 Myrkridia.
New units received.
Okay. Okay. That went pretty well. Our new recruit took a little bit of damage, but otherwise we're good.
Move here.
Yeah, those missions are those fights are considerably easier when the fetch is pre-killed like that. So now we just need to go grab another crystal, and then we just need to find the place where the crystal goes. I'm calling this Operation Magpie. And, well, I don't need to send the whole force. I'm going to send the Heron Guards with the Dwarf in case there are more spiders over there. That's not a risk I want to take. The 4 Myrkridia should be enough to protect everyone else. And here's the door. Alright. Send the Heron Guards and the Dwarf to go retrieve a crystal. I believe the spiders are all dead. I believe once you trigger any of them, you trigger all of them. And so they would all just attack the nearest thing that's not on their side. And since they're considered enemies of both us and the forces of the dark, they end up attacking everybody. But we found our next door, and while the dwarf ambles on over here, we may as well get everyone else into formation. Okay. Bowmen are information too. We just need them to be in the right place.
Yes.
And get the Deceiver to where he belongs. And we have another similar pedestal that's broken because it links to a part of the Tane that doesn't exist anymore. Alright, let the Heron Guards join up with their Myrkridian allies. And
Okay.
Durin, why don't you go throw in your crystal?
What? Make up your mind.
We want a degree of high ground.
Move here, move there.
And now we just need to wait for the last guy. Shouldn't take him too long. Just running on his stubby little legs. May as well speed up a little bit.
Yes, sir. Make up your mind.
And wait for him to throw in the crystal. Okay, get into formation, because, yeah, it's very likely that we get attacked from across here.
What?
And while I'm at it, I'm going to send Expendable the Myrkridia, the one that got critically injured, to go see what's on the other side of here. Ooh, a blue pyramid. We'll find out what that's for in a moment, but first I'm going to make sure that we've sprung any ambushes that there are. Also, oh, more spiders. Also, it is actually possible to rename your units. What you do is you hit the N key, and I'm going to name this guy Expendable. And now this is Expendable the Myrkridia, who's running up here to investigate the area. Now the thing about this is, the spiders, in all probability, will operate the same way in this area that they operated in previously. Which means they can be triggered by killing one of them. So, get the spiders good and mad, and then have Expendable retreat back through here. Since I believe he moves faster than the spiders. And let's just get the dwarves out of here. They're not likely to do anything helpful. Run, Expendable! Run for your unnecessary life!
Casualty.
And we lost him. Yep, Expendable died. Fortunately, we could afford to lose him. Expendable. Yeah, there are quite a few spiders. Fortunately, they're arriving in a really broadly... Don't do that, Bowman. Don't shoot your teammates. They're on your side. Fortunately, they're very broadly distributed. They're not clumped up to any significant degree, which means they're pretty easy to take down.
Yes.
Casualty.
Unfortunately, we managed to lose a bowman thanks to my carelessness and the fact that they came from a direction I wasn't expecting. Spiders that can climb walls? No, there's no way they can come from a direction I wasn't prepared for. That's impossible. No reason to consider that possibility.
Make way for the dwarf.
Okay, let's heal the injured bowmen. The ones that survived. Anyway, so we have Expendable, so I'm gonna actually name either Myrkridia. Yeah, redundant. Redundant. Superfluous. And Tim. Those are our Myrkridia. Redundant, superfluous, and Tim. Okay, let's go collect that blue pyramid. That looks like something important. And they mentioned that there would be an artifact that the Deceiver could pick up and use. And the spiders are all dead. I'm guessing there weren't regular enemies in this area, so the spiders all came after us. Alright, let's speed things up a little bit. Because one of the downsides of the Deceiver is he is kind of slow. Alright. And fans of the first game may recognize these pillars. These pillars are dangerous. It's necessary to be careful around them. However, the presence of these pillars means we're right next to where we'll find the summoner. So let's get everybody into position. And the Deceiver needs to be in front for this one. Now, as we approach these pillars, the first thing that will happen is that they will change color. Actually, no, the first thing that will happen is that they'll start glowing. So watch for that in a moment. And the pillars begin glowing. The second thing that will happen is that they will change color. And the third thing that will happen is that they will shoot lightning bolts at people. Now, normally these lightning bolts can cause a lot of damage. However, because he has the artifact, the Deceiver can actually absorb the lightning bolts into himself, taking no damage from them. So now, while the Deceiver is absorbing the lightning bolts, we need to run everyone else through here. And they won't be damaged because, well, they'll take tiny bits of damage if they stand really close to him, but overall they'll be fine because the Deceiver is absorbing all of the damage. However, it's important not to run too far forward or we'll end up triggering Myrkridia. And this is the summoner. This is the guy we came here to kill. He has two abilities. He can spawn a Myrkridia, and he can teleport our units to other parts of the Tane. Those are the only things that he can do. However, it's necessary to be careful, because by teleporting us out of here, he can seriously mess up our formations. And the Deceiver isn't under my control anymore. Not entirely sure why that is. Alright. Get the dwarves up to here. I think I know what's going to happen.
Insolent whelp, your deeds gather to you not glory, but suffering and death.
New units received.
Brainwash the one extra one. Yep, he can do two things. He can summon additional Myrkridia, and he can teleport people away. Whoa, that isn't good. And the Deceiver got too close to the guy being teleported and was himself teleported.
Casualty.
Whoa. This is all going wrong. Okay. You're gonna need the Deceiver to get back here, but in the meantime...
Casualty.
Well, that would be the Myrkridia getting vaporized. Fortunately, the Summoner is sending the Myrkridia at us one at a time. So... Okay, send one Myrkridia back at him. Everybody else get out of there. The other thing is that the Summoner's ability to teleport people consumes his mana bar. So he can only do it every so often. And when his mana bar is depleted, he can't teleport us anymore. And we got him. We lost a couple of guys. I think we lost one of our experienced dwarves. We lost a dwarf, a bowman, and 3 Myrkridia. The Myrkridia did a larger percentage of the damage than the Heron Guards did, though the Heron Guards got more kills. But we got the Summoner. This will not remove the Myrkridia from the game, essentially, because they still have access to the Myrkridia that the Summoner resurrected before now, but we've just halted the supply, so the Myrkridia will be a bit less plentiful from now on. But this is actually a pretty significant victory. The Summoner is gone. Well, let's find out what the Deceiver has in store for us next. That doesn't look good.
Tuesday, April 21st. Soulblighter's camp west of the Cloudspine. Deranged, arrogant, self-serving, none of these words can fully describe the Deceiver. No wonder his army has always been made up of bewitched men and the walking dead. No thinking being would willingly follow him. The Deceiver dropped us in the middle of Soulblighter's camp, hoping to attack him by surprise. King Ulrich said nothing of a sneak attack before we left Muthenli. It is obvious the Deceiver was acting on his own. We were captured instantly and thrown into rude cells with other prisoners from some unsung battle in the west. The Deceiver was caught in the claw of some elemental beast commanded by Soulblighter, but not before he had struck down more than a dozen of the enemy with his magic. We have been in prison for only 9 hours, but already can tell that something is afoot. The whole camp is alive with activity, and even our guards seem preoccupied with some greater purpose. According to the men captured before us, Shiva has returned after crushing all resistance in the west. Perhaps Soulblighter now seeks to recapture Myrkridia. If we cannot devise a plan to free ourselves soon, there will be no one left to carry it out. Many of our comrades have been beaten, stripped, and dragged away. We hear them being tortured, and their screams of agony are slowly eroding our morale. The longer we wait, the more difficult it will be just to escape, let alone free the Deceiver. I have yet to mention our jailer. It is the devil Fellet, the shade who decimated Avon's Grove during the Great War. It is a wonder he has not yet sought vengeance upon us, as he was sorely injured by the Deceiver upon our arrival.
Huh. So it seems like the guy known as the Deceiver might not be the most trustworthy fella. Well, could have fooled me. Also, the pre-rendered cutscene showed someone throwing a knife into one of the cells, freeing some of our guys. Wonder who that was. Anyway, mission objectives. There are many prisoners scattered around Soulblighter's camp. Rescue the other prisoners, including the Deceiver. Hints. When you're escaping the cells, watch the movements of the guards. Don't take on more than one maul at a time. You can't outrun ghouls. Try blocking them to prevent them from warning Soulblighter. Anything you do to attract Soulblighter is a mistake. Load up on satchel charges and mandrake roots while you have the chance. You'll need to find a crystal elsewhere in the camp to release the Deceiver. Any unit can retrieve it. Yep, it's time for a jailbreak. After we watch some of our fellow soldiers under Soulblighter's tender mercies.
That was Fellet, right? What's going on here?
Huh. That's Fellet. The guy who threw the knife into the cell and apparently killed the guard was Fellet, the shade who was mentioned in the opening, who the Deceiver seriously wounded. And yet instead of wanting revenge against us, he's freeing us. Interesting. Anyway, we start off with 5 bowmen and nothing else, and we have to deal with a couple of mauls.
Step aside.
Well, here's how I'm going to deal with that. We have a good long approach during which we can gradually wear down this maul's hit points. The issue is he's between us and the Berserks, so we're not going to be able to get to... seriously, guys, work on your positioning. You guys reacted like the worst imaginable way to him getting into melee range. So we had to kill the first one with our bowman. But now we have a chance to free these Berserks. Which is good because we're going to need their help to take out the rest of the Mauls. Also, yeah, we're about a minute into the level and we've already managed to lose somebody. Alright. Now the bowman gets started on that Maul. I meant to select the Berserks.
Sir?
Alright, and the Berserks can take care of the second Maul, but there's a third one around here. Fortunately for us, the third Maul has to walk straight down this nice, narrow firing line to get to us. So I'll just let the bowman have some fun. Need to get the Berserks into position to deal with the Maul if the bowman can't take him out. But bowmen can actually do an okay job of handling a single Maul. It's only when they deal with Mauls in large groups that it becomes a problem, because Mauls are actually pretty slow. Just not quite as slow as Thrall.
I'm moving.
Also, over here we have a large group of ghouls.
Let's go.
Fortunately for us, these ghouls will not warn Soulblighter.
Good on you.
Alright.
Go.
Got all the Berserk. We freed the first group.
I'm moving.
These ghouls also do not have pus packets or any other dangerous projectiles, so I can just let the Berserks handle them. And we're only a couple of minutes into our prison break, and we've already got a pretty respectable fighting force. No dwarves yet, but that will come with time.
Yeah.
Main thing is I need to be careful about this guy's health. I'd like to keep the casualties to a minimum. After all, we don't have access to the Deceiver in this level, so we lose anybody and they're just gone. We don't have the ability to convert enemies.
Let's go.
It is interesting, in this episode as a whole, there's really been a dearth of undead. We haven't, I think, fought a single Thrall yet. It's all been Mauls and Myrkridia and ghouls and that kind of stuff. There's been some Soulless, but that's about it. And there haven't even been many of those.
Let's go.
Alright. Now let's just quick poke them all and get them to come our way. Okay, let's wait a moment. I want the Maul to be significantly ahead of the ghouls. Especially since there's another group of ghouls coming at our force from the behind. They're attacking us from the behind.
We're over here.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the behind is where I keep my Berserks. And yeah, those ghouls are just holding rocks. They're not really meaningfully dangerous.
Yeah. Kill.
Alright.
Yeah. Over here. Let's
You guys
go.
get back.
I'm moving. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
And now he's going to take care of the Soulless.
I'm moving. Over here.
And that voice saying we're over here came from these guys.
Let's go.
Yep, we have some dwarves.
Yeah.
Finally, we can really get this show on the road. Just cut down the barriers keeping the dwarves contained.
Free at
I'm
last.
moving. Let's go.
And
Yeah. I'm moving.
this area is where we first start having to deal with one of this level's major hazards. This was hinted at in one of the hints when it talks about ghouls running over to get to Soulblighter. What that means is
Over
there
here.
are several of the groups of guards contain at least one ghoul that will, when triggered, just run straight to where Soulblighter is to warn him that we're escaping.
Let's go.
If it manages to warn Soulblighter, we will all die. We do not have the resources to take Soulblighter on right now.
Yes, sir?
So we need to stop the ghouls from making a break for it and warning Soulblighter that we're escaping. And this group over here is the first group we have to deal with that contains one of these ghouls. So we're going to need to be a little careful in how we handle this one.
Over here. I'm moving.
Right. The trick is this walled-in area has 2 exits. We need to block one of them. Of course, this wide-open area has 4 Myrkridia, and we need to kill all of them. 3 dwarves should be able to help with that. And like that. And that went somewhat wrong. Why did 2 of them... What are you guys doing? Did did they just think better of fighting us and run away? So, nope, never mind. We can't take these guys. I guess the Myrkridia are smarter than I thought. Oh no, they went to get some Soulless because they saw... Yeah, they are smarter than I thought. They went to get some Soulless because they saw that we had dwarves.
Stand clear.
Alright. Crap, melee, take care of that Myrkridia. Alright. The bowmen take some shots at the Soulless while the Berserks just basically keep the Soulless distracted. There you go. Okay. And I saw some movement over here. Let's find out what that was. Of a moment. So far we've only lost 1 guy, but a lot of people are in some really bad shape health-wise. Okay, the guys who were over here appear to have moved on. But, just quick block that entrance with a couple of Berserks, so when the goal makes a break for it... Actually, we're going to want 4 Berserks. We need to make sure that goal is really dead. When the goal makes a break for it, the Berserks will get him. So we have 4 guys blocking this exit, and then the rest of our force positioned at this exit. And we got the enemy good and trapped. Okay, like that.
Let's go.
There we go. Send this Berserk in to get everybody good and riled up. Alright.
Get us out of here.
And more Berserks in a cell over there.
Get the Soulblighter, we're done for.
Okay.
Stand clear.
Oh yeah.
Just stand still then. Okay. And these 4 Berserks to take out the runner. The runner requires a decent amount of personal attention because we need to make real sure he dies. And you heard the sound from in here? Yep, more Berserks. Yeah, we're back to the old school. We don't have our whole force of Heron guards like we had in the last mission, but we got Berserks. These Berserks presumably being from the unsung battle in the west that was mentioned in the intro. Because, well, they certainly didn't come here with us. Alright. And the Berserks are free. And this white goal over here is another goal runner. Let's try to make sure he doesn't run away. Since I'm getting our ever-increasing force of Berserks into position. This level is actually pretty generous to us in terms of the units that it gives us. It's just that they're so spread out that it's easy to lose some of them before you find the rest. And the Berserks should have no trouble taking care of that. Now let's just do some cleanup duty and get rid of this maul. Though, while the level is generous overall, the 5 bowmen you start with are the only bowmen that you will ever have. If you manage to lose all or most of them, you're just kind of out of ranged units for the level. You just have to rely on the dwarves. And in this cave cell over here is our satchel charges and mandrake roots. So, they specifically made sure and took away the dwarves' satchel charges. If you check, the dwarves don't have any satchel charges. but they left their regular grenades intact. So it's like you have a backpack stuffed with 2 different kinds of explosives. And so they made sure and took away all of one of the kinds of explosives, but left you the other kind of explosives. And for that matter, they didn't take away any the swords or bows or anything from anyone else. They only took the satchel charges and left us with all the rest of our weapons. Though I suppose the real reason for that is to allow the jailbreak thing to happen. Otherwise, you'd have to break a unit out of their cell and then find their equipment before they can fight. But other games have done that. Like, for instance, there's the segment in Chrono Trigger where you get captured and your gear gets taken away, and you actually have to find each character's equipment before they can fight, which rewards you for taking the one character who doesn't need their weapon and doesn't use a weapon and so can fight without finding their equipment. Anyway, let's finish scooping up the satchel charges. Each dwarf can carry a maximum of 8, and there are 24 satchel charges in here, which is exactly enough for each of our 3 dwarves to be maxed out. Alright, grab that. And there's also mandrake roots, implying the presence of a heron guard somewhere in this level. But we haven't found them yet, so we can't use them. Okay, gather the guys.
Over here.
Pull the guys back.
Yeah. Let's go.
And here's the next place that we need to lay siege to. Once again, this includes a goal runner, which means we're going to need to quick plug up both of the exits. And if you look over here, there are a very large number of Stygian knights guarding a giant hand. The giant hand is the hand of the elemental creature that was mentioned in the level intro, and it's actually holding the Deceiver. We're gonna need to rescue him from this. And before we can do that, we have Myrkridia that needs to be blown up.
Yeah.
This one appears to not be as smart as the other was and didn't think to bring Soulless with it. And that was somewhat to its detriment. Unfortunately, it did bring friends, apparently. Okay.
Incoming!
Okay.
Yes.
Just one Myrkridia the Berserks have to deal with, and, well, we have a lot of Berserks, so that shouldn't be too bad. Yep,
Yeah.
nope. I don't want them going after the goals in the camp just yet. I have a plan for that. And while we're at it, we don't want the bowmen to feel too left out.
Yes. What?
Anyway,
Okay.
let's get Yvalin over to here. And we can already see the next group, also composed mostly of ghouls, over here.
Yes, sir.
Also, oh, they also took away the bowmen's fire arrows, but not their regular arrows.
That thing was the Soulblighter we're done for.
Yes.
Chill.
And again, if you look closely, you'll see the Berserk's pathing getting terribly confused. But that's the end of that group.
Yeah.
I think there's a mall up here guarding the cell.
I'm moving. Let's go. Yeah.
But I may be remembering wrong.
I'm moving.
Yeah, we'd be able to see it right now if there is one. There's just nothing else guarding this one. And we open the mystery cell because we can't see who's in that one. And we find a Heron Guard. Excellent, we needed a medic. Also, just like the dwarves with their satchel charges and the bowmen with their fire arrows, the Heron Guard has had his mandrake roots taken away. Because, you know, what they really can't risk letting their prisoners have is medicine. Swords? Oh, that's perfectly fine. Medicine? No, we can't let them have that.
Yeah. I'm moving. Over here.
Okay. And now it is time to make use of the satchel charges. We want to set them in kind of a line-ish formation. While the Heron Guard ambles, let me just grab him and have him go grab the Mandrake Roots while I'm laying the satchel charges. Because we need to rescue the Deceiver. In order to rescue the Deceiver, we need to get past those Stygian Knights. And what do Stygian Knights dislike? Why, they dislike explosions. And frankly, they give me this many satchel charges, I'm gonna find a use for them one way or another. Especially since letting the dwarves just carry the satchel charges around means the dwarves will explode violently when they die, and we don't like it when that happens. Okay, I didn't mean to lay that one that close. Okay, pull everybody back past here. And now I need to manually control the Heron Guard to go grab all the Mandrake Roots that have just been carelessly thrown in a cave. And we finally have the means to heal people, which is kind of helpful considering that we've got some seriously messed up guys. Okay. Oh. Actually holding down the Alt key for a second. Okay, get the dwarves into position here. Get the bowmen just way back because they can't damage the Stygian Knights, so they'll only get in the way. Gather our 3 most injured Berserks where the Heron Guard will be able to find them easily, along with the one dwarf that needs some healing.
Let's go!
And then this Berserk, while the Heron Guard is healing the other Berserks, this Berserk can quick go lure the Stygian Knights. Actually, let's give the Heron Guard a minute to do his medic, to get his medic on before we do this. Alright. They gave us 6 Mandrake Roots, of which we have used 2. And healing these 2 guys will bring us up to having used 4, leaving us with 2 more in case somebody else manages to injure themselves.
Yes?
Right. Like I said, just keep the bowmen out of the way. And that isn't good.
Yeah.
Those ghouls have pus packets. That isn't good. Okay, oops. I didn't realize we'd gotten their attention, but they decided we needed a killing. It's a good thing that group doesn't contain a runner, or we'd all be dead right now. Okay, and the reason why I laid the satchel charges in this long line formation is because the Stygian Knights form a nice long train. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. You know you wanna. You know you want to hack into this guy. You know you want it. Come on. Oh, come. Wimps. Cowards.
Yeah. I'm moving.
Close enough. Well, we took out some of them. Yeah, I overestimated the Stygian Knights' willingness to follow me. And they're still just ambling back to the... They're still just ambling back to their starting position. Except they're not quite in their starting position either. They just kind of... They got lost on the way back, and so they're still weirdly... Whoa! They're weirdly out of formation. And I let the dwarves get too close to them, so the Berserks are just going to have to finish the job taking them out. And we found candidates for our last 2 Mandrake Roots. Oops. This is what happens when you let the dwarves get too close to the Stygian Knights.
I'm moving. There is a 6th crystal. Find it.
Yep. 5 crystals arranged in a circle around the claw. When we find the 6th one, we can use it to free the Deceiver. Which is good, because I don't think we're going to be able to just sneak past Soulblighter. We're going to need the Deceiver's help to deal with this situation. And frankly, whether he got us, even though he got us into this, we do kind of need, he is kind of valuable. We should probably not just let him die.
I'm moving. I'm moving. Yeah. Yeah.
And in here is just a bunch of whites.
Let's go.
Let's just ignore
Let's go.
those. Actually, you know what?
I'm moving.
I feel like blowing them up because, you know what? Blowing things up is fun.
Yes, sir.
I'm moving.
In the meantime,
Yeah.
the rest of the group can start heading this way.
Move here, move there.
Yep, a bunch of whites in a cave. These are not allies that we want to rescue. But blowing things up is fun. I wonder if the point of that is to trick you into just having your Berserks cut down the spikes only for the whites to self-destruct and kill them.
I'm
Wonder if they're
moving.
trying to bait you into doing that.
I'm moving.
This is why you always look carefully before you free things.
I'm moving.
However, in this cave is the crystal that we need. However,
Yes, sir. What?
it's gonna be a little bit guarded. Though we are getting... Soulblighter is up here. We are getting uncomfortably close to where he is. So this is kind of starting to make me a little... This is the kind of thing that can make a guy a little
Let's
nervous. Let's see if we can just sneak in and grab the crystal.
I'm moving.
Also, if this group contains a runner, we are just doomed.
I've got him.
Fortunately, the developers had the foresight to realize that, and this group does not contain a runner. Just some malls that need to be blowed up, as malls often do.
Over here.
And there we go. And a couple of goals that also need to be blowed up. And as we learned in Sons of Myrkridia, back in the first game, goals blow up good.
Casualty.
As do dwarves, apparently.
Kill.
Nice job with the friendly fire there, guys.
Let's go.
Well, wasn't exactly the cleanest mission, but we have the crystal now, or at least we're about to have the crystal.
I'm moving.
Let's head back to where the
Let's go.
Deceiver is.
Over here.
Well, Theorem of the Mighty Blows goes and retrieves the crystal. It is nice that in this level, any unit can carry the crystal, so you can give it to a Berserk and actually get it back to the, place where it needs to go in a reasonable amount of time, rather than having to give it to a dwarf and wait for one of the slowest units in the game to gradually amble their way across the map with the crystal.
I'm moving.
Then again, I'll admit, if I had to carry a backpack that apparently has extra dimensional space inside of it, I'd probably be a bit weighed down too. I probably wouldn't be moving as fast as I could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we may as well secure the site around where we're going to free the Deceiver.
Yeah.
Need to be a little careful sending units long distances automatically because the pathing in this game isn't the best.
I'm moving. Yeah.
Alright. And the crystal goes here in the obvious empty spot.
Yes. Complete the circle. Let's go.
Now, I'd be happy to heal this dwarf, but we're out of heals. I am just going to start getting these guys into position for what we're about to need to do. Because there's a bit more to this level yet after freeing the Deceiver.
I'm moving.
And Thrym is now, or Thyrim is now no longer under my control.
Over here! I'm moving.
And completing the circle causes the claw to
Soulblighter
disappear.
shall no defeat yet.
Okay, so the Deceiver is going to confront Soulblighter directly.
I'm moving.
Not thinking that. I'm gonna be honest with you, Source. I'm not thinking this is the best idea. Though I suppose the Deceiver is a fallen lord, or I guess an ex-fallen lord now. So if anyone can pull this off, it's probably him. Let's see what he has in mind.
Yeah. I'm moving. Damus, know that your ruin is upon you, and by my hand rot.
And by what clever ruse will you defeat me, Myrkridia? Will you hide in my chamber pot?
Take this,
Yeah, remember those lightning bolts that the Deceiver absorbed in the previous level inside the Tane? I'm pretty sure these are those very same lightning bolts. And that's where he just stored them and is now using them against Soulblighter. And not only that, but you saw he zapped one of Soulblighter's crows. Soulblighter, when he's seriously injured, can dissolve into a flock of crows and fly away. The Deceiver managed to zap one of them before it escaped.
I have always wanted one of these.
Which means he actually seriously injured Soulblighter.
Let's go. Yeah.
And, you know, given the way the Deceiver tends to be, I get the impression that he planned all of this. Ah, crap.
Yes. We'll do it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna risk letting the Berserks take on the Mauls. It's like 14 Berserks versus 3 Mauls. We may suffer casualties, but we will win. Oh, no casualties.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Deceiver just picks up the crow and wanders off. He doesn't exactly have the greatest regard for his teammates. Or I guess he just assumes we can handle this ourselves.
I'm moving.
And there's another dwarf over here who's still imprisoned. I've actually never encountered this. I've never noticed this guy before.
Yeah.
Well, let's go free him. I've been playing this game for like literally about 20 years. I don't believe I've ever noticed this guy before. Wow. You really do learn something new every day. Also, he is waiting for us. Now that we've essentially defeated Soulblighter, we can follow the Deceiver and he'll take us to the normal level exit and we will advance to the next mission. However, there is a secret level exit, which requires us to go this way instead. It'll take slightly longer, but the enemies are all dead, I believe, so we shouldn't have any more trouble.
Let's go. Yeah.
I'm not sure what's in this cave, but I'm willing to bet that the answer is whites. And I don't really want to find that out firsthand.
Over here.
Well, I suppose I could send the newly rescued dwarf to just blow open the gate and find out. Well, the rest of the group just heads left. Well, north, but it's left from my perspective. And my perspective is the only one that matters. Alright? Let's keep these guys going in a generally northward direction. And here we see a second level exit.
Let's go.
Oh no, this is another friendly.
Let's go.
Oh, it's more bowmen. There are more bowmen, it's just that by the time you can get to them, it's essentially meaningless because the level's already over.
Hey, I saw some wagons going north a while ago.
Oh. Well, the one thing so rescuing these guys gives you a hint about the direction, about how to get to the secret level, which is, if you leave through the northern level exit, you'll encounter a special optional mission.
I'm moving.
Which also means leaving right next to where we started. We're just down the slope from where we began the mission. Like we started on the hill overlooking this. Well, let's head over this way. The Deceiver will be able to find his own way back home. Of course, I was making fun of him for seeming to abandon his teammates, and now we're abandoning him. Gotta wait till they're all off the map. And not only did we successfully break out of the jail, but with the Deceiver's help, we actually managed to meaningfully wound Soulblighter. This is going to be quite significant for the rest of the game, actually. So, which means over the course of this series, over the course of this episode, we found the Tane, killed the Summoner, cutting off access to new Myrkridia. There are still plenty of already revived Myrkridia we'll have to deal with, but we've at least plugged the hole they were flooding through. And we managed to wound Soulblighter. For all the weirdness, this was actually a pretty successful series of missions. And we unlocked the bonus level, which we'll see next week in the next episode. In the meantime, thank you all for watching, I love you all, and I will see you next time.